A wordless church is a worthless church. A warm welcome to this new video, in which I would like just for a short moment to draw our attention to the fact that if the Word of God is not being preached in the church, in the assembly, in the gathering and meetings of the believers, then it is becoming a worthless unity, a worthless entity here on earth. In Hebrews 4, the writer of that epistle in the New Testament says in verses 12 and 13, "For the word of God is living and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the division of soul and spirit and of joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. And there is no creature hidden from his sight, but all things are naked and open to the eyes of him to whom we must give account." When we read the Word of God, each time again, we ourselves as believers, we find that it is living and powerful. Sometimes it is powerful to comfort us, sometimes to encourage, sometimes to exhort, often to teach, but sometimes also to correct. And also it stimulates us to present the Word. I remember when I was at high school that we had a teacher of religion, and he was a believer, and he had the permission to preach in a church. But when we discovered we were believers, me at my young age and he was an older man, but he said, "I don't dare to preach the word, I don't dare to preach Christ, because then the church will empty itself." And I said, "Listen, your church can already hold 1,500 people, the church building, and how many are there? Just a few dozens. Now if you preach Christ, people might come to Christ and be saved, because it's not by your social talk, by your pep talk to kindness and loving attitudes and so on, that people will come out of the darkness to the light, but only by the preaching of the gospel, the good news of salvation. And it is not by a social talk that true believers will be encouraged and will grow in faith, but only when we present the good foot, the spiritual foot, which is the Word of God." And he said, "I don't dare to do so." And finally he even got into a depression because of his inner conflict, wishing to present Christ and not daring to do so. And finally the church building emptied itself more and more. And that is why, as a warning for us, we see this old Scandinavian cathedral behind us, nearly 1,000 years old. No roof, no seats, no preaching, no Christ, nothing left. That is a sad story. A wordless church is a worthless church. A church where the Word of God is not being preached will have no use at all. That is why the Apostle Paul in 2 Timothy 4 verse 2 says to his child in the faith, Timothy, preach the Word. We don't gather as believers to preach or to consider human opinions, dogmas, thoughts, emotions. We preach Christ, we open the Word, we preach the Word, isn't it? And if we don't do so, if we don't dare to do so anymore, then let us learn to dare again, to have courage again to preach the Word of God. Let the Word of God be the book we really open, study, read, preach, meditate upon and proclaim amongst us as believers as well as in this world. The Word is so precious, so deep and profound. It always has a lesson. It always has a message for each and every one. And if people around us know that there is a true message being preached when believers come together, then they will be attracted and the Lord will certainly use that to their blessing as well.